Hello, I'm Dynast Amir.
So I reached out to another friend of mine. I said, look, I need to go on vacation somewhere. Where should I go? He said, go to Africa. And not only am I going to go, I'm going to explore a new country. So I went to Tanzania, South Africa, Namibia, Mali, Senegal, Morocco, Liberia, Namibia, Kenya, the Voodoo Festival in Ouida, Gambia, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire. Sierra Leone, Ghana, Nigeria. It's been a beautiful experience, just learning more about our culture, our indigenous culture. So Uhuru means freedom in Swahili. I'm in search of my roots. In finding that, I would experience my Uhuru, which is freedom.
Till next time, Dynast Amir, I'm out.
Peace. I hope all is well. How's everyone doing? Do me a favor, hit the like button as you come to the chat room. Please hit the like button. Also, make sure you share and make sure you subscribe to the content. I would greatly appreciate it. I hope everyone is having an awesome new year. Hope you guys are off to a great start for the new year. Hold on, let me clean this camera real quick. Give me 1 second. Let me just wipe this down a little bit. Okay, there we go. Okay. Hope everyone is having an awesome new year. Let's see what we got going on here in the chat room. Thanks for this topic. I've been waiting on the outcome of Bruce's Beach. Well, the outcome is they're selling. They're selling to LA County, but I know a lot of people are upset and disappointed about it. But if you look into the details in the fine print, as they say, like, you really can't blame them. Well, it's like, can you really blame them for selling? Unless, my dad who was in real estate, my father was one of the, in fact, one of the, if not the first Black real estate broker in Sacramento, California. When he was alive, rest in peace, I was asking him or wanted his advice in regards to possibly selling my house. And he said, well, if you could sell your house and get 2 or 3 more houses, why not? So we just have to see the outcome in regards to what they're actually going to do with the 20 million. But yes, it just depends on what they're going to do with the money. People sell real estate all the time. But again, are they going to buy more houses? Or are they going to blow it? That's the question. And then the question also is, well, the 20 million, how is it going to be divided up amongst the family? So it's interesting to see. But yes, Bruce's Beach, if you guys don't know the story, and we'll go ahead and get into the story now, but I have some announcements. Was a beach that was owned by the Bruce family in Manhattan Beach, California, South Bay, which I'm very familiar with. My old job, Centos, when I lived in LA, was in Manhattan Beach. No, not Redondo, not Manhattan. Where's my old job at? Someone help me out. Not Carson. I guess not be considered Torrance. California. Hold on 1 second. I know they recently moved, but I think it was Torrance, California. I'm tripping. It was in Torrance, and Torrance neighbored Manhattan Beach. You know, it was Manhattan Beach, then Hermosa, then it went Redondo Beach. So I'm very familiar with Manhattan Beach, but my job was in Torrance, California, which was literally like 2 blocks away from Manhattan Beach. Then it went Manhattan, Hermosa, then Redondo Beach. So I'm very familiar with the area. But from reading one of the articles, and we'll get into the article here in a second, they weren't allowed or weren't going to be allowed to actually develop on the property. So it's like, what's the point of having this beachfront real estate when you can't develop on it? Like, what's the point? And then from understanding, I guess the county of, LA County was leasing the land from them because I think they trained their lifeguards on the property. So yeah, $413,000 a month. I mean, a year. And we're gonna get into that in a second. Let's just get into these announcements. Everyone, once again, thank you so much for joining. Make sure you hit that like button, also share. You know, even if you don't find value in what I do, there might be people out there who do. So don't deprive them of the content. So, if you're watching this and you're like, you know what, Dynast, I don't like what you're doing. If you're just a hater, again, if you're just a hater and you want to hate, and you don't like what I'm doing, then just do me a favor, share with somebody else that you think might find value in what we're doing. So, announcements, tours. Oops, wrong button. There we go. Tours. Because I know I got a lot of haters that watch this because they be in the comment section sometimes, and sometimes they send me little nasty grams. They'll send me a mean email. Dynast, I didn't appreciate what you said, Dynast. I didn't appreciate what you said, Dynast. You were wrong, Dynast. You were wrong. You were wrong, Dynast. You were so wrong. So, I get that from time to time as well. So just because you think I'm wrong, there might be somebody out there that thinks I'm right. So still share the content, even if you think I'm wrong. You wrong, Dynast. You were wrong. I don't appreciate what you're doing. What you said, Dynast. You was wrong. So anyway, yeah, it's called opinion. It's called opinion. You're correct. So tour, Senegal. Listen, y'all don't tell nobody. My favorite country. My favorite country. Senegal, don't tell nobody. All right. Overall, love Nigeria, love Sierra Leone. In regards to Sierra Leone, the landscape is beautiful. Again, the landscape of Sierra Leone is beautiful. Nigeria, I just love Nigeria because I'm a fast-paced guy. I like to move. And Lagos, even like the small cities, they move fast, and I like that. Senegal, overall, you get a little bit of everything. Best food, art, landscape. You got everything in one in Senegal, and it's accessible. So with that being said, I am taking a group to Senegal in May for the Jazz Festival. Again, I'm taking a group to Senegal in May for the Jazz Festival. If you're interested in joining us in Senegal for the Jazz Festival, go to danfo.africa. Again, please visit danfo.africa, danfo.africa to learn more. May 21st to the 30th. Come and join us. Best food by far. So if you like to eat, you like good food, Senegal, best food. All right. Also, Nigeria, Osun Festival. All right. August 6th through the 15th. Hit me up for the Osun Festival. Hit me up for the Osun Festival. Then we are rolling to Sierra Leone. Okay, we're rolling to Sierra Leone. That is going to be April 18th through the 29th. Hit me up. Hit me up. Oh, they haven't officially announced it yet. Again, they haven't officially announced it. But my sources, my very, very close sources, told me that there's going to be another swearing in ceremony in April. Okay. There's going to be another swearing in ceremony in April to get your passport. Where my passport at? I think it's upstairs in my bag. So there's going to be another swearing in ceremony, citizenship ceremony in April. They haven't officially announced it, but my close sources said there's going to be. So even if you're not eligible for citizenship in Sierra Leone, come enjoy Sierra Leone. Landscape, oh man, beautiful. The most beautiful country I've ever been to. Yes, Aisha has to be from African ancestry. It has to be. Um, but whoever's asking or inquiring, they don't have African ancestry um, DNA results and it's from another company. Have them email me still. I don't know if they can make an exception. I'm not sure. But no question, no exception. I mean, no question, no confusion. If you got your African ancestry DNA, links you back to Sierra Leone, you good to go. You pretty much good to go. Or what they said, if you have any other DNA results where it shows your maternal and paternal side specifically that links you back to Sierra Leone, I think that they're letting you in. I've heard the same thing too, and from what I've heard, it's again, if you don't have African ancestry DNA results, but you have something that's DNA related that links you back to Sierra Leone, hit me up. But I can't guarantee anything. But still, hit me up. African ancestry, you're good to go. You're guaranteed. Other companies, I don't know, but just hit me up, and the worst thing they could say is no. So Sierra Leone, absolutely gorgeous country. But again, like I said, Senegal overall is my favorite country because it's just in Senegal, I have access to everything that I want, that I'm into. So yeah. And then also, if you guys have not bought the documentary yet, again, if you have not bought the documentary yet, In Search of Uhuru, yes, once you become a citizen, you can buy freehold land. If you have not bought the documentary In Search of Uhuru, please go to searchforuhuru.com, buy the documentary. Again, please go to searchforuhuru.com and buy the documentary. We'll greatly appreciate it. This is the #1 Africa-centered documentary of 2022, and we're going to go ahead and claim 2023 as well. All right, we're going to go ahead and claim 2023, that there is not a more impactful documentary when it comes to Africa that's coming out in 2023. So we're going to claim that too. Somebody said, I already bought it twice. There you go. Guys, buy for your uncle, your cousins, your sisters, your family members. Buy them the documentary. They need to see this documentary. It's going to inspire them and spark them to go to the continent of Africa. All right, with that being said, y'all, let's go ahead. So go to searchforuhuru.com and buy the documentary. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump to today's topic. We'll open up the lines in about 20 minutes. 20, 30 minutes, we'll open up the lines. And you guys will be able to call in and add to the conversation. And let's be nice. Listen, going into 2023, we're already in 2023. Let's be nice to each other. I know we'll have a difference in opinion, but let's be nice to each other. Okay, can we do that? Can we do that? Can we be nice to each other? Can we be respectful? Can we not be mean? Let me just check one thing real quick, guys. Can we not be mean to each other? Okay, perfect. All right, let's jump to today's topic. Bruce's Beach. Bruce's Beach. Family to sell Bruce's Beach property back to LA County for nearly $20 million. Like I said, it just depends on what they're going to do with the money. 6 months ago, Los Angeles County leaders signed off on an unprecedented transaction. They will return 2 parcels of beachfront property in Manhattan Beach to the Bruce family. The first example of the government giving back land to a Black family after acknowledging it had been stolen. On Tuesday, the county announced a surprise twist in the historic deal. The family will sell the Bruce's Beach property back to the county for nearly $20 million. In the early 1900s, Willa and Charles Bruce were pushed out of a bustling resort they had built. Beloved by the area's Black community, the Ku Klux Klan, along with other white residents of the area, plotted to drive the family away, and city officials later condemned their property in 1924 through eminent domain, claiming they needed the lots for a park. The family resort was demolished and the Bruce family moved away. The park will not be built for decades. In an effort to right the wrongs of the past, the board made the momentous decision in June to return the Manhattan Beach land to the descendants of the Bruces, a move celebrated nationally by reparation advocates. As part of the agreement, the Bruce family members had a 2-year window in which they could require the county to buy back the property from them. They have decided to just do that. Attorney George Fathery, who represents the family, said in an interview the sale was not unexpected, and the family had always wanted to have the option to sell the property back to the county. He emphasized the sale was still a victory for the Bruce descendants, who would no longer have the land their grandparents were robbed of, but instead the money they should have inherited. What was stolen from the family was the property, but what the property represented was the ability to create and preserve and group and pass down generational wealth. Again, I just wonder how it's going to be divided up. And by allowing the family now to have certainty in selling this property to the county, taking the proceeds of that sale and investing it in their own futures, that's restoring some of what the family lost. Fathery said, I think we all need to respect the family's decision to know what's in its best interest. Fathery said multiple factors contributed to the family's decision. For one, he said none of the descendants live in Southern California, and they were in stages of their life where they wanted money to invest. He also said the land was not zoned for development. See, that's what's crazy. So there was a resort. So the Bruces had built a resort on the property, right? The county takes away the property, takes away the resort, and now through code or zoning, they can't develop it. Yeah. So I mean, you can't really blame them for wanting to sell the land, because pretty much they cannot develop and build on their own land. And if they wanted to build on it, like they were, like, we're about to get to, I could just only imagine, because it's LA, it's California. Just the fight they're gonna have to put up, just to, the fight they're gonna have to wage just to be able to build on their land. It's crazy. Because you're in LA, excuse my language. Well, Manhattan Beach is kind of conservative. But LA, I wanted to use another word, but I'm gonna be nice. They really, 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 really love the environment there, to a point where it's just weird. And I wanted to use another phrase, but we're gonna be nice. So I don't blame them. Get the 20 million, but now it just depends on what you're gonna do with the money. And the family members were wary of the years-long permitting fight they would need to wage if they wanted to start building. At the end of the day, what the family was very focused on was certainty and being able to assess the proceeds of the sale, he said. County Board of Supervisors Chair Janice Hahn, who helped initiate the transfer, similarly characterized the sale not as an abrupt change, but as an example of reparations at work. They feel what is best for them is selling this property back to the county for nearly $20 million and finally rebuilding the generational wealth they were denied for nearly a century. Hahn said in a statement, "This is what reparations look like, and it is a model that I hope governments across the country will follow." The transfer of the property last year was hailed by some as a potential turning point in a nation with a long history of confiscating land from racial minorities, blocking them from generational wealth that white residents enjoyed. Governor Gavin Newsom, who signed Senate Bill 796 into law, allowing the county to make the transfer, called the deal catalytic. State Senator Stephen Bradford, Democrat Gardena, who authorized SB 796, said he supported the Bruce's decision, framing the sale as a logical move given zoning requirements. He said barred the family from fully developing a property currently, he said, is zoned only for public use. So what's the process to change the zoning? If they could pass a bill that would give them back their land, why can't they go through the process to rezone it? That's all I'm saying. Like because guys, everybody that knows that land, that beachfront property, is worth more than $20 million. I'm very familiar with that area. That land is worth more than $20 million. And trust me, they could have partnered with damn near anyone to develop that land. Zoning is the key, but it's heavily political. So I guess we need to figure out who was blocking the zoning or who controls the zoning. Because I'm pretty sure they were having these conversations when they were going through the process of reacquiring the land in regards to zoning. So there was somebody in the background who was blocking the zoning. That's the only thing I can think of. In fact, that's probably what it is. That's worth way more than $20 million. I'm very familiar with that land is. Currently, he said it's zoned only for public use. It's bittersweet. I'm excited about the fact that the family can reap some monetary benefit from the property that should have been in their family for 100 years had it not been stolen. But it's disappointing that the family came to the conclusion of having to sell the property because they saw no long-term financial benefit. He said, I think they just saw the writing on the wall and said, hey, we might as well sell it right now while the market's good. Though surprising to some who cheered the Bruce's Beach transfer as a rare reparation success story, a sell back to the county has always been an option. The transfer agreement the two parties hashed out last summer contained a 2-year window in which the family could require the county to buy the land back for the value of the property, roughly $20 million. The county said in a statement the buyout option was put in the agreement at the family's request. So the family planned on selling it anyway. The county team that worked alongside an attorney for the Bruce family conducted an economic analysis to determine the property's value. The county maintains a lifeguard training facility on the property. Since the property was transferred last summer, the county had been leasing it from the Bruces for $413,000 a year. Wow. The parties have until the end of January to close the sale, according to Father Ree. I mean, listen, if it were me, but this is me, I would have took that $20 million. I would have bought up every available beachfront plot in Freetown, Sierra Leone. I would have bought damn near every high rise in Dakar, Senegal. I would have built condos and houses in Freetown and in Dakar and in Nigeria. But that's just me. Now, I don't know what the Bruce family's going to do, but damn it, give me $20 million. Hold on one second. That's what I would have done. Yeah, I would have bought my own island. That's what I would have done. But anyways, guys, hit the like button. Also, in other news, former president of Nigeria, Obasanjo has gave his seal of approval to Peter Obi, has endorsed Peter Obi. So, as you know, the Nigerian election is next month, which is the most important election of the Black race and in Africa, Nigeria. So that's coming up next month. But guys, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna take a quick commercial break. We got to pay some bills. We got some words from our sponsors. And then after that, we'll take some calls. I'll go ahead and put the link in the chat room. If you want to call in and add to the conversation, you can. Again, if you want to call in and add to the conversation, you're more, wrong button. If you want to call in and add to the conversation, you're more than welcome to. Link is in the chat room. But that sucks. So you have built a resort on that land. They take the land away, then they zone it for public use, where you now can't build the resort that you had on that land before it was stolen. That's crazy. Yeah, they played. LA played them. They got played. But at least they're walking away with $20 million. They got played, though. They got played. But at least they're getting $20 million out the deal. So we're going to go to a commercial.
At the Okoli Law Group, we specialize in producing justice. If you or a loved one in the Atlanta metro area is facing serious criminal charges, then you need serious legal representation.
The Okoli Law Group is here for you. The Okoli Law Group is here for us.
The Okoli Law Group, serious legal representation.
Hey you guys, it is your girl Alexis Fowler coming to you with a special sale of 40% off all of my services when you use promo code VIP40 at alexisfowler.com. As a brand designer and consultant, I provide services like digital art, logo designs, packaging designs, web designs, social media flyers, and much more. If you're an entrepreneur with a business or a startup company and you need help with branding and graphic design, make sure you take advantage of this opportunity with 40% off using promo code VIP40 to get 40% off on all my services at alexisfowler.com.
Hi guys, I'm Jay Dior, intuitive reader and spiritual advisor. If you are someone who has been looking for more clarity or guidance on some of the issues that you have been experiencing in your life, then you can head to my website, bougievoodoo.com, where you can check out my reviews, or you can go ahead and book a session now. Also, check out my boutique, J. Dior Beauty, where I sell everything from luxury virgin hair and wigs to high-quality sport bikinis and swimwear. There is free shipping on all orders over $100, or you can use promo code YouTube for an extra 10% off. Scan the QR code to check out the site now.
Al, go ahead.
Good afternoon, brother Dynast, and everyone on the chat show. Yeah, I saw your videos in Freetown. You know, I mean, I was quite impressed.
Thank you.
Yeah. I saw. I think you had a dinner with the first lady as well, isn't it?
The who? Who?
The first lady.
That was January of 2021
I see, I see. Yeah, small. Yeah, she's like a big sister to me, and I know her since I was a young boy. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, basically, in terms of the place in California, I think they've been pressured to sell the place, to resell the place to
Yeah, I
the
think so. I think so. That it's
yeah,
obvious. I mean, so when I found out about the whole zoning issue, I'm like, oh, they played them. But at least they
yeah.
got 20 million. At least they got 20 million out the deal.
Yeah, that's a good start, isn't it? You kind of give you like the Tariq Nasheed fans, the reparation bit of hope, right?
Right. At least they got 20 million. Hey,
Yeah,
and
20.
then we'll see what happens with the whole reparations situation in California.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good start, I mean, if they can do that, it's just amazing. I mean, if they can do that for the rest of the black population, absolutely brilliant. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. In terms of Peter Obi, I mean, I've been, as
You there? Hello?
we did made some prediction. This is about Ali last year, isn't it?
I,
We
I
did
think
made it.
I don't think Peter Obi has the I think he's best for the job, but I just don't think he has the party support. Well, I don't think his party is
Strong.
big enough to give him the support he needs, if that makes sense.
Yes, to be honest with you, he should have stayed with PDP and become.
Yeah, but
At
Atiku, is running with PDP.
yes, but he wanted Peter Obi to be his vice, but Peter Obi didn't stick around, so he went to Labour Party.
Right.
And
He ran with he ran as vice president with Atiku last election.
yeah, last time that's true, But Atiku wanted him again because he knew that the guy is serious. He knew what he's doing, and he got the vote behind him because to get the Southeast votes, you have to have their own people in there. But also in terms of Obasanjo, approval of Obi, that's been upsetting the Northerners. I'm telling you now. I mean, in, based based on what I'm hearing, from a lot of my people in the north, even one of my house friend I spoke to today, he think the Northerners are not happy at all. That he actually he took his time to write the letter, and basically that will affect some of his fans that he's actually getting in the north. And in fact, I had earlier another Hausa guy rang on the station. He's saying that it's tribal politics. They accuse the North of playing tribal politics, but now the South is playing regional politics. The Hausa brother said, "Let the South keep talking. They in the North, they're not gonna talk. They're just gonna sit down and watch." Election day.
Is the Atiku Hassa? No.
No, Atiku is Fulani. It's Fula.
Well, yeah, Hassa Fulani. That's it.
Yeah, Hausa Fulani. Yeah, that's right. Just like Buhari. Buhari is Hausa, is Fula, and is Kanuri. Buhari got 3 tribes in him. His father is Fula, and his mom is Hausa, and his mom is Hausa and Kanuri.
But isn't Buhari ADP?
No, it's Buhari is Buhari's father is Fula.
I'm sorry, no. Buhari, no, his party, APC. Is APC?
Yeah, APC, yeah.
APC,
okay.
yeah.
But APC is a party of the Northwest and the Southwest, and they got the largest chunk of vote in Nigeria anyway.
Yeah, but Atiku, APC. I said ADP. APC. But Atiku's PDP.
PDP, right? But PDP is a party of the South. APC is a party of the North and the West.
So that's interesting.
Yeah, he's a party of the South. But PDP has always been mixed anyway because he had Yaradua there before. Yaradua was the last president. Then he had Goodluck Jonathan as his vice. So when he died, Goodluck Jonathan inherited it and he won the election. And after that, he had Buhari. But before Yaradua, I think it was Obasanjo. And then Atiku was his vice president, right?
Right.
So PDP and PDP been mixing, they've been zoning politics from the north to the south. But obviously Atiku got problem with the people in PDP because he did not want to zone to the south. He's saying the northeast never had the presidency. So the presidency should go to the northeast. But the southerners are saying, You know, everywhere in the region in Nigeria had power except the southeast. So Peter Obi, you know, and you know,
Right.
so or Wike, Governor Wike, which you call the G5 in Nigeria today, they actually from the southeast, they said they should be the one that is
Oh,
actually contesting.
the first president of Nigeria is from the southeast. Not
Well, he was a military guy,
what was his name? Sad.
Zikwe or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's the one that killed Bello.
No, he didn't kill Bello. No.
Who killed Bello?
No. In fact, I want to say Zikwe was out of the country when all that took. He was in the UK, I think, when all that took place.
Yeah, but it was.
Al, you're out.
His regime that Bello got killed, right?
Yeah, Nnamdi Azikiwe. Yeah, but I think when Bello was assassinated, he was out of the country.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think when Bello got killed, it was his regime. It was during the military regime, and the Northerners never forgive the Southeast because of that. So that's the reason why they tussle with the power, not want the Southeast to have a power in Nigeria. But at the end of the day, as you know, me following the politics over there, you know, being the kind of person I am, I think Obi is the right person to rule the country.
Yeah, but we'll see if he gets support.
Yeah,
go, Alan.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the Bruce's Beach thing. I don't understand why they settled for that low amount of money for that kind of property. You know, I lived in California briefly. I understand what the beachfront property is worth. Yes, they squeezed them and they tried to squeeze them, but the fact of the matter is they were leasing the property to the county for a significant amount of money that they could use then to sue the county to lift the zoning. I mean, it just seemed to me that there was a better way to go about the entire thing. It highlights to me everything that's wrong with some of these reparations movements. Is, you know, you have the government against you, which is clearly what happened here. They squeezed them and didn't allow them to do what they had to do, and you know, reparations isn't going to do anything for black people in this country if we don't have a bigger vision or some sort of financial literacy behind what it is we're doing. Because as you see, they just ended up handing the land right back to them for a reduced price. I find it very disappointing. Let me just say it that way. I don't want to come too hard on the family. You know, they did what they felt they needed to do, but I'm disappointed.
Is zoning, is that handled by the county or the city?
It depends on the jurisdiction. I imagine that would have to be the county, but I don't know.
Because if it's the city, you know, Manhattan Beach, that's very, very, you know, that might as well be Orange County, Manhattan.
Oh,
Beach.
okay.
So if it's the city, they would have had a fight.
Yeah, but they're getting $413,000 a year to aid in their fight.
True.
it just seems. I don't understand why they wouldn't, dig in the fight, because if they have to spread that kind of money around the amount of people they have pictured from the family of the descendants, then you know you're talking about thousands of dollars for everybody. It's not going to really make any dent. It's not really a win ultimately, as far as reparations is concerned. Whereas if you would have fought this thing, somehow gotten it back to being zoned so they can have a resort there or something like that, or they could work with the developer to get that resort done, it could have been more money longer term. I just didn't see any vision with this. It just, I want a payday. I'm tired of this. I'm sure there was internal fighting within the family and such.
Oh, of course. You already know that. You already know that. Of course.
So that's the only reason why I can't come down too hard on the family, but it's not. I don't think this is a good result.
No, I totally agree with Alan. I mean, for example, the city where I live here, my best friend, his uncle used to own at least 15 properties in Bristol, and Bristol is the second richest city outside London. Like, it's very expensive to live, and like he had 3 nightclubs, loads of commercial properties, and today, he sold them all, and he basically have.
Al, you keep going out, Al. You keep going out.
Yeah. You know, it's yeah, I was unfortunate. I wanted to hear what that brother had to say, but I come away very disappointed, and you know, people like Tariq Nasheed and them are going to probably come away saying that this was a win somehow, and look at the dollar amount without looking at, you know, what the potential was to, you know, going forward. And I just feel it was a squandered opportunity, and it was I think it shows the weakness in this whole reparations idea and staying in America with the money.
Well, like I said, like I said, I'm not going to play reparations police anymore. Listen, they get the money. They want to go buy Rolls Royce Phantoms and Lamborghinis, and that's their money. Let them do what they want. And that's how what you do with your reparations check is your business. Your business, not mine. So if you want to take your money and go blow it, go to the Louis store, Gucci store, pop tags, buy a Bugatti. Hey, have at it.
Yeah, I guess.
Gas him up in the building. He's gonna correct me now, Dennis. That's a Nigerian guy in the block.
Gas him up. Go ahead, bro. You gotta mute yourself. Gas him up. Okay, I guess something's going on. Gas him up. Yeah, I hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, man, I just wanted to quickly say on the family. Look, can we just admit?
Hey, yes, there's like a clicking noise in the background. I don't know what it is. Like,
okay, what about now? Can you hear me now? Still clicking?
That's better. Go ahead. Okay.
Look, man, we just got to admit the truth. Unfortunately, black people, the truth of the matter is, and it's in the language. So when you hear something like white lives matter, there's a fact. If you want to cash out in this game of capitalism, you can't really cash out with Negro pennies, as the the mob used to refer to the numbers game that black people invented. Now, black people can, you can get some funding, but it's like I said, and I had this conversation, I was saying that to you before, like even with your documentary, right? Shout out to it. The truth of the matter is, if you really want to cash out, you're going to have to sell it to like an Amazon or to, unless you just keep collecting what you're getting, which it can be profitable. I'm not saying it won't be, but if you want like a big payday, who else is going to give it to you? Black people are not in the position to give you the big payday that we're looking for. So that's something we have to acknowledge, and we have to find a way around that. Because the truth of the matter is, I don't care what business you build, you still have to sell out in order to cash out. And right now, in terms of, wealth, the people you have to sell out to are the Mzungus. Now, I'm sure you can sell out to the Chinese, you can sell out to the Japanese, the Indians and other people, the Russians. But America has so many regulatory politics and bodies, they make it very difficult. So this game is not just one, in my opinion, where, just buy property and, the standard advice. Like, we're not looking at it on a deeper level, in my opinion. But I just wanted to say that quickly. I hear what you guys think about that.
Yeah, it's almost like if you win the lotto, do you take the lump sum or do you take the annuity? I would say that at $413,000 annually, you'd be better off holding on to it until you get a better offer than $20 million.
But Alan, then you got like you said, the family behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Who's fighting for what?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I see both sides of it. Like I said, I just think they had the leverage to hold out for a better deal with with the money they were receiving already.
I get it, Alan, but so the $413,000 yearly, I guess that they were getting from the city, that was the first time ever getting it. So I could only imagine behind the scenes between the family, them trying to split that up.
Right.
So that's why they were just like, fuck it, let's sell it and just be done with it. That's fine. I don't know. But guys, listen.
But Dynasty, what's the alternative? What was the alternative then? Like what, and that's what I'm saying. Like, what's the alternative, the actual feasible alternative to
If I
that
was them,
situation?
I would list the property. I would list the land for probably 100 years or 200 years, and then eventually that money or the land can come back to my great grandchildren, because that's what a lot of white people live on. They live on generational wealth. You know, you could list the place for loads of money,
Yeah,
and
but
that
you
money.
have to have enough family members who are well-to-do before that can happen.
No, but I
Most of
mean,
those family members, you get what I'm saying? Like, enough of the family is not well-to-do, most likely. So
but guys,
the best
look at the
way is
age.
you got to do a quick
Look at the
sale.
age of the people. The people that got this reparation, right? You know, I mean, even if they take $2 million, for example, or $3 million, you know, and list it for 2 or 3 million, you know, that money and the land is still going to remain there for the family to come, right?
No, but you're not understanding what I'm saying. I'm saying with all the relatives and all the family members that are there, realistically, if everyone is not doing well, like what you said, it makes perfect sense. If everyone in the family is well off, if everyone can get a decent,
I understand what
that might not be the case.
I get it. Al, what Gasmup is saying is, so
Yeah.
this money's going to a family. So, you know, you guys, so everyone got that family member that's a crackhead. All right. Then so-and-so got to pay his or her college debt. You know, you got this, you got that. So I'm pretty sure it was like, fuck it, I want my money. I want to cash out.
Yeah.
So I understand where Gasmup's coming from.
Yeah, but my counter argument is they can take a smaller money that would be enough for them to do all that and still keep the land.
Yeah, that's if you have the type of family arrangements. Like, how many black people really sit down there and have family meetings where the heads of the family are respected?
Hey, Gasmup, you got crackling. Background.
Okay, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Is it better?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, how many of us are having meetings where the heads of the family are respected and the heads of the family take into account the positions of other members of the family? In those type of family meetings where everyone is respected and people have a say, so the elders are like, okay, you know what, these young people, this is this, and in the future we're going to be gone, so let's make the best decision. But hey, young people, we got to think about this. We don't have those type of arrangements where families are sitting down and having those type of conversations, you know.
I don't know. Well, I think that's you know, what the culture I come from, that's very normal. I mean, it's part of it. You know, you can't, like, especially when it comes to wealth or anything, you can't make a decision on your own. You have to obviously have a family, you know, with you to make that decision. So you can't generalize it like that.
Yeah, but that doesn't happen consistently. So I'm not saying that they're a bad family or a good family. I'm just saying that the arrangements for what you're saying to happen, you're right. Mm-hmm. But realistically, they probably didn't have that in place, right? And like I said, in order for that to work, everybody in the family has to be doing relatively well. If everybody in the family is not doing relatively well, everybody's going to want to cash out. And even if everyone was doing well, the truth of the matter is, in this game of capitalism, if you acquire all the assets and all the businesses, and that's what I was saying about Dynast with your documentary, the only way you're going to cash out, you still got to sell it to a Mzungu for the most part right now.
True.
But I don't have a problem with them selling it. That's I think some people are missing my point. I wouldn't have sold it, but I don't have a problem with them selling it. I have a problem with them for selling it for $20 million. That is a low ball price.
But here's the thing: it's low. But again, how are they going to get more? What leverage do they have to demand more?
The leverage is that they have this. They have the government on the hook, paying them $415,000 annually.
Yeah, I need to read the original article when they first were given the land. There were like certain stipulations in there where I think like the county had right of first refusal and all this other stuff. I think it was more. I need to put. In fact, I'm gonna pull up the first article when they bought the land, because there was a lot of stipulations in there in regards to. They pretty much couldn't just take the land and sell it. Then who are they going to sell it to? And the reason why I say that is you can't develop on it.
Make a lot of sense now.
You can't develop on it. Yeah, if I'm a developer, I can't develop on it. I'm like, well, I'm gonna do with just some beach land. I can't do nothing with.
Well, they've already fought this uphill battle.
I bet you after they sell it, in maybe another 10 years, the developer They put pressure. Now you can develop on it. But this is the game of capitalism. And that's why I say I cringe when I hear people try to make it an individual effort. It's called political economy for a reason. The idea of the economy was created through politics. It wasn't the other way around, right? You had the parliament in place, and then merchants hijacked the parliament. That's what mercantilism was. And that became the underpinning for this thing we call capitalism today. The first, you have Dutch East India, British India Company. Those were the first LLCs. But that was in conjunction with royal directives and royal initiatives in terms of the government. It didn't just happen where the merchants had power. So what we've been told as Black people is, just make money. And, we're going to take our pennies and we're going to take our dollars and then we're going to put, it doesn't work that way, man. It's all, look, you guys check out a guy, his name was John Law, right? He was the first person with the term that they coined a millionaire. Go and Google him, John Law, and type in millionaire. It's a great book you can read. That's the underpinnings of capitalism right there. He was a criminal, wanted in the UK, ended up in France, right? And he basically created fractional reserve banking that we use to this day. And he died in penury. He was a gambler, degenerate gambler, right? But he had the ear of the government and was able to, with the Mississippi companies. So this stuff is not just like, like Dynast was saying, they'll put all kind of stipulations in place. And perfect. Look at Reginald Lewis, right? First legitimate Black billionaire, Reginald Lewis. Now, Reginald Lewis, when he passed away, may he rest in peace, right? You guys check out his book, Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun? Because he was in the leverage buyout game with Mike Milken in the 80s. When he passed away, he had a great board of directors, right? Really top-notch guy, but they couldn't do anything with this money. They tried to buy a baseball team. They just did Negro stuff because realistically, the capitalism, you can't just go in there and buy, why do you think Floyd Mayweather and Diddy said, I want to buy a basketball team? Dude, you can't just, they're not going to sell it to you. You can go there with $20 billion right now. They're not going to sell it to you. So it's weird. Like they tell us one thing, but the game is rigged in many ways. Now, I'm not saying that, we can't get assets and work together and do things together on a basic level. But I just think sometimes we bite off way more than we can chew, not knowing what this system is all about.
I agree with everything you said. I understand that this family was squeezed and that, they had a thing, which is why I'm trying not to be too hard on the family, right? Because we don't know the situation that they were in, quite frankly, whether it be from the family, from the government or whatever. My only point is that, if you have to have the stomach to hold out until the price gets better. I've seen it in other places like in Barbados and other places where people have been offered sets amounts of money for beachfront property. And, people in Barbados are hard-headed. They'll just flat out keep saying no, right? But if your goal is to sell out and to have your family paid out, then, set a price and to say, listen, we're not selling until this.
I think the part of the agreement when the county, and then we'll pass it to Ronique, I think part of the agreement when the county returned it to them was, I don't think they could have sold it to anybody else. And if they were to sell it, they had to sell it back to the county for $20 million. And they can't develop on it. So it's kind of just like, it's pointless. All right, Ronique, let me unmute you. You had some background, some feedback coming from you. All right, go ahead, Ronique.
Oh, hello.
Ronique, you there?
Oh.
You muted yourself. Unmute yourself. There you go. What you doing? You muted. Unmute yourself. I'm gonna unmute you. Hold on, let me unmute you. Yeah, you gotta unmute yourself.
Yeah, I think she's on now.
Yeah, you're on. Go ahead.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Hear you.
Okay. Okay, you can hear me now?
I think there's
yes, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
It's just like feedback, like you're like delayed.
Oh, okay. Sorry, the internet may not be too good here. Okay. This topic has a lot of unknown variables from the family side, um, but from my I do agree that if your family does not have the cash flow to play I would say a game of chicken with the government when it comes to what they're willing to pay you for land of this nature, 7,000 square feet of beachfront LA property, then of course they're going to cash out. But what we do know is that they did form an LLC, Bruce Family LLC. So that leads me to believe that there's some kind of business structure or business advice behind that. Whether in the LLC is formed as a partnership where certain stakes of equity or percentages are given to each family member, like we don't know the structure of that paperwork. But if an LLC was formed, then that leads me to believe that somebody has a majority share and is a decision maker in that respect, and they chose to cash out the 20M. But I think it really goes down to that question of, if I win the lottery, do I take the lump sum today or the payments into the future? And there's many variables that go into making that decision.
Well, yeah, she's right. I mean, even with setting up, and this is this is not legal advice to anyone, but Black people, stop just running to get an LLC. An LLC is not, high financial advice. You have to know how to structure it. Like, is it a pass-through entity? Is it an S corp? Is it a C corp? Like, we got to really start looking at how the real rich, right? And I'm not one of them, but when you start studying how the top, CEOs of the Fortune 500 companies in America, or you start studying how the wealthy are actually hiding assets, they're using things like C corps, they're using trusts, they're putting things in. So, we got to just get a little bit more, I think, sophisticated than just, setting up so-called LLCs. But that's just where I want to put it out there.
No, I agree with you. And also, I agree with Dynast from the beginning of the show, where he says, I mean, if someone selling a £1 million house, for example, and buying 3 houses with the money, what's wrong with that? It's part of the business. I mean, that's a good point. On that note, then I can see, maybe they collect the money. With that money, they can buy a couple of more houses and keep the rest in the bank and do something with it. Because the reason why we all kind of bit gutted for them is because, they decided to take all the money, not keeping the land, for it to remain as a generational wealth. I mean, so yeah, everyone with their own personal circumstances. Sometimes it's hard to, to know exactly what's going on within, right?
Does anyone think that there could have been legal pressure here? I can assume that the legal fees leading up to getting the city to buy, or to this point, what led up to this point when it comes to the legal fees of the matter, I would expect there to be substantial fees that they owe, whatever legal team or whatnot that helped them out in this.
Nah, that's just our way of continuously rationalizing degenerate behavior and not wanting and refusing to accept that when you see situations like this, it tells you, it basically confirms what people like me have been laboriously saying for years. Didn't nobody steal nothing from you? Didn't nobody steal it from your great grandma? You sold it because you wanted the lump, because you thought, if I got $20 million, now I can buy my way, I can buy access to white spaces. There's a million things those people could have did with that land. Those people could have reached out to dudes like Master P, dudes like Jay Morrison. I think he's a scammer, but you could even reach out to a dude like Jay Morrison, who's just looking for something to publicize. And those people for free would have gave you advice and counsel on what you do with that with that level of land. You could have walked.
Give us a situation of what you could have done.
You could have listen. You could have literally went to Wilshire
On Wilshire, there's nothing but law offices, real estate offices, all that. Walked in and said, look, I'm about to come into a huge plot of beachfront land. Are there any, do you know anybody who is looking for property to develop? That's what you do. The first step you do is you find somebody who punches above your weight and you say, what can I do with this land? These people did what black people do so many times. They just took the path of least resistance. They sold that land. They're going to sell this land to the city. Listen, this land is worth a minimum, in my opinion, of $100 million. That's a minimum. Go to Manhattan Beach. I've been there. I've showed up to the Bruce Beach site and saw black people out there worshiping that plaque they got up there like a shrine. I mean, literally bowing to it. Like, oh, look, black people, we got this land back. For them to sell this land for less than you could even win on the California lottery should be a slap in the face for. At this point, I just wish the white folks would have kept the land. Then I didn't even have to think of, well, I didn't get my hopes up. Y'all got your hopes up. But then we didn't have to see what we've known has been going on in our community for decades. Black Wall Street, Greenwood, that's our caveat. Oh, Black Wall Street. Does anybody know that when Black Wall Street was burned down, the people who lost their businesses went to the Oklahoma Supreme Court and won their case and won millions of dollars from the city to rebuild, from the state to rebuild that area and built it up bigger and better than it ever was built up? And then you know what happened? Civil rights happened. And my brother Tendaji has sent me a link about this, and I started researching it. I just found out about this from Tendaji in the comments. I went and started researching it. And just like I suspected, what really killed Black Wall Street was civil rights and Negroes abandoning black businesses, thinking that white people just, their ice was colder. That, like Phil Scott always said.
Most black people on Black Wall Street were not business owners, and most of them were employed by whites.
Listen, what I'm trying to tell you is Black Wall Street. I know gassed them up, got to come with the extras. Look, the people who were black business owners on Black Wall Street. Okay, if most of the businesses on Black Wall Street were white owned, then why do we constantly? That only further solidifies my point.
I said most of the people who were working.
What I'm telling you is you're bringing up something that's irrelevant in the middle of me talking, and I'm telling you, even if it was white owned, then we really have no foot to stand on in complaining about it. You're not smarter than me, gassed them up. You might be smart amongst the third graders in your class, but you're not smarter than me. Just know that for a fact, okay?
Like to reduce everything
just
to
for a fact. Go lotion up your
Achilles
tendons and leave me and stop interrupting me.
It's not personal, so you got to learn how to debate. I know it's not personal, but why are you interrupting me?
Why are you interrupting me?
Because you're saying incorrect statements.
No, I'm not. I haven't made one incorrect statement. No, I haven't made one incorrect statement, dude. You brought up another point that had nothing to do with what I'm talking about. Black people have used these excuses for decades. And now in real time, you are witnessing the truth. We had it. We sold it. They stole some, but we sold off way more than they ever stole.
There's no other way to cash out in capitalism unless you go to the Mzungus. And even Reginald Lewis, the only official billionaire other than perhaps Robert Smith now and Dangote in terms of business, right? He found it so he couldn't just get in. Capitalism doesn't work the way that we're saying. When you get to those large levels, there's always what you might call conspiratorial efforts. So the family.
Stop with the conspiracies. Stop with the conspiracies. He could have called Robert Smith. He could have called Bob Johnson and said, hey, let's develop this land that I just came into. And they would have handled all those fees because they would have known that they could make even more money putting a resort there or something like that. They just did what black people do so often. And I'm not just going to say black people, poor people. They just took the path of least resistance.
Shout out to everybody. Even if he did reach out to some white man or whatever, that's what. See, you got this thing where you constantly trying to demonize capitalism, but you know what I'm saying, you can't see the forest for the trees. Even if you did reach out to a white man, that's what capitalism is. You have investors, business, and contracts which you input the terms in. It's not like they're gonna own whatever in perpetuity and you just stuck with them. if they could have like Brandon said, they could have went out. My wife in this situation right now. She had a grandmother. We got a property one street from one of the most popular streets in New Orleans. The land itself worth about $500,000. Her auntie about to lose the damn land for $39,000 in taxes. So me and her was trying to buy the house. We can't afford it for right now. But we walked into a lawyer's office. All the other black lawyers we went to, they wanted $2,500 up front to start the succession and everything else. We went to the white lawyer office. I'm not proud to say that. The man said, "Man, look, I'll do everything up front," because he already see the opportunity. He know on the back end what he gonna get. You know what I'm saying? So even if they would have went into, like Blaine said, "Man, look, y'all know somebody who would with the popularity that this land everything has, people would have been knocking down their door, developers and everybody else trying to take part in this and invest in this project. It's not like, oh, you can either sell it, you either get. And somebody said like, this is comparable to a lump sum with the lottery versus a annuity. I completely disagree with that. With the lottery, I might not even be fucking alive. This shit ends when I die. Might not even be alive for, that's not comparable to this. This is the shit we always talk about, legacy and generational wealth. So that's not nowhere near the same thing. This is, but I'm not, each of us gonna have a different opinion on whether or not we want to just take the cash out. And like Dinah said, you might have some complexities with family issues. I understand that, but it's just about priorities, point blank period.
Hey, one second, Ronique. Hold on, Ronique. I had to mute you. Like, I don't know if you got a fan in the background that's blowing. It's
Hey, Dinah. So you're saying they should have held on to a property that they really had no way of developing? Because
how don't you have?
Because
wait, you intelligent, Gasma.
One mic. No, Gasma. What they're saying that makes sense. So right now, currently, I forgot the name of the guy. Black developers, 2 large black developers right now who are building. I think they're building like the largest hotel or building, I think in New York or in LA.
Skyscraper in New York.
Right. He's building the largest skyscraper in New York, a black developer. What Brandon is saying makes sense. Reach out to him. Don Peoples, that's his name. Don Peoples. What he's saying is reach out to him. Say, hey, listen, I got this land, Bruce's Beach. I want to develop it. Can you help? And I guarantee you get all of these black developers and you get Robert Johnson and whoever else involved, that they probably could have made something happen. But
they might have, but you're assuming that they would have been able to stop whatever stipulations the city put in place when they gave them back the property. We don't know what stipulations. So I'm not saying you guys are wrong. I'm saying we have to understand it's not just the economics, it's the politics as well. All they could have just sat on their land, because if it's yours, the taxes on the land. This is what I would have worked out, but I would have to find out the details. But the taxes on the land shouldn't be no higher than what it was when you first bought the land in 19 whatever, just, price for inflation. But I know that you could have reached out to Kanye West and he probably would have did something just to piss off Jewish people or white people in that area. There's too many things they could have done. And I'm telling you, it's just another example of our people taking the path of least resistance. Now in 2-3 years after they took all that money and blew it, they're going to come out with some lame ass story about how they was set up and all this stuff. And they probably going to try to write a book and make a made for TV movie and convince us that they didn't just do what we seen. And let me tell you something, Gasm, you're Nigerian. I'm Black American. Let me tell you something. I am going based on the resume of our people, what we've always done. And I know that it don't take no extenuating circumstances for these folks to sell a grandma house. My aunt sold my grandma's house before she was even in the ground. They was damn near closing escrow. I said, damn, how do you sell somebody's house that fast? And went back to living in a 1-bedroom apartment in Compton, California. Okay, that house was paid off. There was no taxes owed on that house, nothing. And my grandma and my grandpa left her hundreds of thousands of dollars. She just sold it because why? She didn't want the responsibility. She didn't say, hey, Brandon, why don't you take the house if you got something you could do with it, if you could afford it, or you want to spend money on it. We don't do that. We quickly try to get a cash payment, which is always pennies on the dollar. And then guess what we do? Because we know that later on we'll have the excuse.
oh, the white man made me do it. The white man held me back. And I'm telling you today, as long as I'm breathing, that excuse is no longer valid, because I'm witnessing in real time Black people continue to sell themselves out and sell themselves short simply because they know they could pass the blame off on white people. It's over. No white family would have sold that land. No, if Janice Hahn had that property, she wouldn't have sold it. I don't care if she didn't have a penny to her name. She would have found a white person who had a lot of money and said, look, you help me out, shit, I'll give you half the land. I'll give you a quarter of the land. Just make sure that when you do what you do, I got some stake in it to where I could create generational wealth, and I could also give me a little bit of cash out of it. People make deals like that every day. Dynas is a real estate agent, and he will tell you, people make deals like that every single day. They were just lazy.
All right, go ahead, Philip. And Philip, you're in Cali. Philip, you're in Cali too, and you're a lawyer, Philip. So I'm sure you might know what's going on. You gotta unmute yourself, Philip. You gotta unmute yourself.
Okay, hey panel, the all my favorites are here. How's everybody?
Good.
What's up, Philip?
So
what up, Phil?
Hey. So look, Dynas, this is a great thing. We can sit and talk about these things and actually kind of work it out, and it proves what everybody has been trying to say. Okay, which is this: the Bruce family was in a situation where they were clearly abused in terms of their land rights, that the state had taken property that was rightfully theirs, and it was extremely lucrative property. What happened, though, was that this was a family that did not have a lot of money, at least not the kind of money that they needed to litigate this situation out. And so what wound up happening was, because it was such an eyesore to the local government that they had stolen this land, it was well known that they had done this, that they came up with a settlement that was capped. And one of the things that's been frustrating about these kind of reparations referenced efforts is that the details of what the actual reparations were or are not examined by our public. And so from the outset, this settlement, the option for the state to buy back the land was capped at 20 million, as I understand it. There was not anything else that they could have done. The land was zoned in such a way that it couldn't be developed. So you have a situation where they're saying, we recognize that you should have gotten something. We abused you. And it's obvious, and there's plenty of records of this. However, we're not willing to give you a windfall. So what we're going to do is we will come up with a number that we feel we can live with, that we can sell our taxpayers, because that's where the money is going to come from, of 20 million. And then we already know from the jump that a lot of that money is going to go to their attorneys and the experts that were used to prove the case, right? But you will not get nothing. And so in not getting nothing, then, the Black community can make a decision whether that's a win or not. But as far as what they could have done, it was limited. It was limited from the very beginning. And if they wanted to do more, then you run into the problem that we all have. And that is Black American people don't have a lot of intergenerational wealth. We don't.
Question. With the popular, as a lawyer, with the popularity of this case, don't you think that there's a plethora of many lawyers who would come about to who would be salivating to try to litigate to challenge the $20 million in the zoning ordinance? Don't you think there'll be a bunch of lawyers who would want to take that case?
Then, Jaji, you're one of my favorites. And you know this, you're a New Orleans guy, right? Right?
I had to mute him.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's like water.
You're a New Orleans guy. So my family is from there. How many of those homes in litigated spots have the Blacks there kept? particularly after Katrina. How many did they keep?
Not many. Not many.
Right? 3rd Ward, 9th Ward, lower 9th. Right? Did they even keep what is it? Charity Hospital? What's the big hospital?
Charity, yeah, they
Closed it, right?
redid the bottom floors of it. Yeah, they closed it. It was closed for it just got open a couple years ago.
So you already know. Look, the bottom line is that lawyers work for fees. And if you don't have the money, then that means I'm loaning you the money to do the litigation. And this is where I started my discussion to say, look, the lawyers went out and negotiated this thing to what they got. They extended them a line of credit. It took experts, it took surveys, it took all of this stuff. And then at a point where the lawyers were like, okay, we're good, that you paid for the money that I loaned you to do this case, plus I'm going to make a little money off it. And, you know, I have the reputation now as the lawyers that represented the Bruce family. I'm good. I don't need 100 million. You might, but I don't. Now, if you've got more money to put up, well, then maybe we can talk about trying to litigate it more and change the zoning. It isn't going to be easy, though. You know how much money is in that area. They're not going to just let you roll up and change the zoning. That's going to take years of litigation, probably. Right? Am I saying anything that's crazy?
Oh, let me go ahead, Ronique. Go ahead, Ronique.
All right, I have a question for you, Philip. If they did exercise, say they said we don't want the 20 million, we just want to continue in the lease arrangement with the city, what, as far as in the future or their options in that way, could that relationship be sustainable for that would be equally beneficial to the family?
Well, this is the box in part, right? So you basically have a piece of land that if you don't exercise the option and you can't develop it, then will the value of it go up or down? It will go down, right? So then you will get less than 20 million, which is why they exercised it. You could have held it for another year or two. You could have tried, but what are you going to do with it? They got you boxed in.
But isn't it already in use? Like it's not
a park
land. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's nothing. Yeah, it's a park. Yeah, it's nothing there.
It's a park. Now it's a well-situated park if you could develop it. But we just said, this is the part that I was saying. This isn't a traditional land acquisition situation where you're gaining the land and then you can also try to make adjustments to the land if you have the money to do so. This is the exact same problem that regular everyday people who buy land plots run into, where you can buy it, but do you have the money to develop it? And most of us, the answer is no. Not unless we bought it on tax liens, not unless we have family resources that we can put towards doing that.
So are you saying after the 2-year period, like the city could decide we don't want to lease the land from you anymore, even though it's been running as a city park?
They could renew the lease, but the value of the lease will go down. And eventually you get sick of holding it, and whatever you get at that point, they know you got to sell it. They're like, well, we were going to offer you 20 million. We agreed to that. You tried to hold on to it. So now we're going to pay you 15.
But the contract will most likely say that they have to lease it, or else if they break the contract, then they can do what they want with the land, sell it or whatever.
Well, if they break the contract, then the city could come back and say that you didn't honor
if the city break the contract by saying we don't want to use this as a park anymore, it's just, you know.
No. The city set the terms to say we will do this lease, the 2-year period, and then you have the option to sell it to us. Those were the terms. So the city isn't breaking anything after that 2-year period. You can say, well, would you like to lease it again? They may say yes, but the value is not going to be what we were paying before. We'll negotiate for that.
Right,
what would
right, right.
happen if they were to say no? Like if
If
they
they would have a piece of land that's more valuable than what the option was, and that will go down in value because they can wait you out.
So basically, they would have a battle trying to rezone the property.
Right. Well, you got to have money, man.
Right.
If they were a family that had $100 million, then maybe they could, keep this litigation going and make the arguments necessary to try to do that. But this is the larger point, which Gassama tried to reference, but it kind of got lost in the. We are not players at the big game because we do not have the money to play the big game. And when you go to the big game level, then you got to deal with big game cartels. Period. Full stop. So yeah, Tendaji, lawyers would want it, but there's only so much that they're going to loan a client for a case. And then they want to get in, get their money, get out. How many Bruce families are going to go to them to do this kind of litigation? How many are there? There are very few situations that were as obvious and as blatant and in the kind of situation where there was a windfall to be had. Is anybody trying to move back to where Black Wall Street is? Anybody want to leave Chicago, New York, LA to move to Oklahoma? Anybody up for that? My family's from Tendaji. We're from New Roads. You can't even get our family to move from New Orleans back to New Roads. You know where that is? You know where New Roads is?
Yeah, I definitely know where that is, outside Baton Rouge.
That's where we're from. New Roads and Plaquemine. Nobody wants to go back. My cousins went out there. They didn't even have lights. No lights out there on the streets. Grave sites where they just say it's a rock over there and that's where your great-great-granddaddy is. Anybody want to do that? I'd like to know. Anybody in the chat is trying to do that?
I understand your point that essentially making a comparison that Tulsa, nobody's trying to move there.
Correct.
So I understand.
Yeah, brother.
I don't know. I don't know, man.
We're in a tough spot.
Because you got the court of popular opinion these days too. At the same time, I know that's a stretch. Don't get me wrong. I know that's a stretch.
What are you saying? Wait, say it again. I talked over you.
I said you got the court of popular opinion these days too. You know what I mean? But if they didn't have time to make the decision, I understand. And we don't know exactly what the contract says, so I get it.
Well, we haven't seen the full settlement, but we knew the outline of the deal because the city released it to the press because it was good press for them. We knew that they had this option from the very beginning to sell it for $20 million. And it was assumed that they would because the family did not have a lot of options of what they could do with the land beyond sell it after the 2-year period. That's it. The end.
Scenario number 3. I would say they hold on to the land. They're able to pay the taxes and whatever maintenance that is needed to maintain the property. Isn't it possible in the future, if they were to go beyond this lease period and have the means to hold on to the property, isn't it possible the city could come back with a better equitable offer?
Sure. It's possible if you have the money. It's unlikely. Look, at the beginning of my career, I worked for the city, not Los Angeles. I worked in Chicago. We don't make deals that are going to go beyond what we can appropriate from the city and from the county and from the state. We don't make deals where we're going to pay more in the future when we know we got to push that thing through the city council or push it through the county board or push it through the downstate. You can't do that. You if anything, you're paying less. I can remember many a year working for the city and wondering if all of us will be back next year because of the appropriations from downstate and what they were going to do or not do. So the price goes down, it doesn't go up. You know, and this is actually the larger point, which is in this sea of economics, do we see our position on the chessboard clearly?
We don't even have players on the chessboard.
From a visual standpoint.
From any standpoint, listen, look, we're too disjointed, right? Africa, which should be, and I call out the Africans all the time, and they can't stand me in the chats, but the Africans should be leveraging the wealth and the capital that they could get in America. When you look at, like, for example, Russian and Chinese Americans and Indian Americans and how they're, you know, purchasing hotels, they should be doing that with African Americans. There's the bank that a Ghanaian purchased. He purchased a black bank, a black founded bank in America. They buried him in so many regulatory politics. I mean, the bank couldn't go anywhere. You know, so like, that's what I was trying to tell you, Tendaji. I wasn't saying that you're wrong. I was just trying to say, look, man, even when I read Reginald Lewis's book, he was on the verge of before he got that TLC Beatrice, he was trying to buy a company. When the white guy found out that Reginald was buying it by himself, he rescinded the sale. He canceled the sale last minute. That's big boy cartel stuff. You know, we can't, like, on the small level, yeah, we can go buy a property, you know, inflation hits in 10 years, we sell it, we say, yeah, I bought it for 3, I sold it for 20, I'm rich. Of course, no one's saying that you can't do that. But when we're talking about global games of power and capitalism, we don't even have players on the field. Like, why is Robert Smith and Dangote not in partnership together? You know how much more powerful Robert Smith's leverage and equity baseball bat in terms of hitting home runs would be if he was linking up with people like Patrice Motsepe and Dangote? But this is the game. You start doing that, that's when the little white girl visits you, you know, from whatever, you know, some world peace organization, and puts the poison in your coffee. And then we say, oh, the man died. I'm just being real.
Well, he's
already
married to a white wife. So. All right, your Mojo, go ahead, your Mojo.
Hi, panel. Hi, Dynast.
Hey.
So I'm a California real estate broker and also a Louisiana broker. But my real experience related to this is working with Edison on renewable energy from Palm Springs to Tehachapi and witnessing how they use eminent domain to their advantage. Knowing who the lawyers are, who the judge is on the opposing side, and knowing that they had the land in the bag before the poor landowner, homeowner, you know, could even blink. So I think the family didn't have a chance in this. They did what they could do, like Philip said, and got the best money out of it. The entitlements also to try to develop that land in terms of getting utility and zoning and all of that, they would have been tied up for years, given how they even got the land. So that didn't sit well with many people to begin with. So getting the opportunity to develop it beyond what it currently is was just not going to happen. Wasn't going to happen. So I think they did the best for the family. I think we got to be more informed and understand land ownership versus home ownership, what the differences are, and what you face, you know, in the States. It's different around the world, but you're up against a whole different ball game, especially in California.
That was a deep point, land ownership versus home ownership. But guys, I'm about to leave. I just want to leave y'all with this. I think this is a great case study, and I'll say it again. Black people around the world, we've been disjointed. Now is the time for us. And I'm not the guy who's on the Pan-African train at all. Everybody knows. I guess them doesn't say that at all. I'm not a fan of it. But I will say this: we got to use this as a case study to strengthen our family dynamics. The old ones need to take into account the young ones. The young ones, we got to respect the older ones, and we got to start meeting together as families every quarter. Some of the companies that Nike, Amazon, these companies meet every quarter. right? They have shareholder meetings. We need to have family holder meetings as whether you African, whether you're Caribbean, African American, or whatever you
How
identify
is
as.
that any
We need,
different than Pan Africanism?
you like I said, I don't want to get into that. You got my email, brother Tendaji. We can have a conversation. Yes, them. You can email me. We'll have it on my channel. We can talk about it. But I'm just saying, this is a case study of, like the sister said, land ownership versus home ownership. Like Brother Phil was saying, the ability to wait out a municipality, right? Like we don't have that, so even if we don't have it, but we can still have each other and families. Like I said, we got to respect our elders, and our elders got to do right by the young ones, because we're going to die, and it's the young ones that are going to be left over, and they're going to be like, damn, what did they leave behind for us? What did they set, what type of precedents did they set for us as elders? So we need to start having family meetings and working together as families. So I hope, we can do that, and it's a case study. So as we go forward, we start leveraging our opportunities. Africa, the Caribbeans, African Americans, we start, making Garvey's dream a reality. I'll leave you guys with that.
I would say that even though we don't see things in our face, or when we generalize, I would say when we generalize the Black community, we sometimes may do a disservice on the topic. Because yes, if we look at the media and what the media tells us our families are doing, and what the media tells us how we're operating, not all of us are operating in that way. To Gaslamup's point, when it comes to coordinating meetings and functioning as a unit, my family does that in particular. We function as a unit. We finance each other's business ideas to where we have a trust in which all of us do benefit from that from a monetary perspective. So when I hear things like we don't do this and we don't do that, I sit in my corner of the world and just say, well, we may not do that from what the media says and what we may see on the internet, but there are a lot of us that if you take the time to have conversations with different people, you will find that there are families out there that you can drive ideas from that are doing the things that we would want to see on a global scale. The point is that not everything can be done in public. Most things have to have some level of privacy. My father taught me privacy is a part of wealth, because once you expose your playbook, then you have risk factors and distractions that go on that can affect things. There are some conversations as a family that need to be just in-house. That just needs to be in-house. And in this social media world, it's been a great distraction, in my opinion, to the progression of certain groups as a unit.
I think that's a brilliant point. And the primary reason why I came on was to kind of frame up the situation, to say this is why Dynas's channel is so important, and Brandon's channel is so important, and people like yourself, Ronique, and Tendaji, and HRH, and Yamola as the same as Dantor, for all of us to come together as a collective and to discuss it, right? And also those of us that are not aware of whole life insurance and getting whole life insurance policies in order to loan each other money within our families, this is now the time. I think Dynus was doing insurance at one point. I don't know if he's still doing it. But the point being that, go ahead, Dynus.
I still have my license, but I'm not active.
Yeah. These are the small things. But to Gaslamup's point, when you get to the next level, there are certain barriers. And this is the opportunity that Africa and Black Latin America and Black Caribbean offer to us now to try to be smarter with our investments in terms of what we do. And this idea that we can continue in the path that we were going on of we do not have any connection to these other areas is short-sighted. We're in a global world and we have to play globally. Our money dictates that. And that was the primary point, was to support Dynas's mission and channel and to say this family was in a situation. They were in a situation that many Black people find themselves in as a family, in that something had been taken from them. It was recorded and could be proved. And then they set about the process of reclaiming the wealth that was taken. But the rules and the situation that they found themselves in did not dictate that they could have all of the options that were best. When Brandon was on, he's correct. This land that Bruce's Beach sits in easily could have been appraised at $100 million. Easily. But the family was not in a situation legally, was not in a situation financially to be able to enforce their full rights. And many of us, even less so, because our families are not as strong or we don't work together. But here is the other side of that coin, that there are those opportunities in other places, which Dynas can take you on a tour to see, and Brandon can take you on a tour to see, that there are opportunities. And I say this all the time, your favorite Latina cleaning lady has a rental property in whatever home country she's from. She and her husband, who's the construction worker, use that low-wage salary to work together, buy property in their little hometown, wherever the hell they're from, and rent that thing out. And once they do their gig here in the United States, they retire there. There's no reason why Black Americans cannot get into this game too. We have the knowledge now. Ronique just laid it out, you know, that
I completely agree. Professionally, I'm a CPA, and I can speak to, it's a mindset. It's a mindset, and it's a commitment to, discipline. Nothing's gonna fall in your lap. And we can't do anything alone. We can't do anything I think one thing from culturally, from living both inside and outside of the United States, is that there's a cultural cancer in the United States that teaches people that the I thing, I can do whatever it can happen, I can do it on my own. No, you can't. If you work as a group, to Philip's point, I know many people who don't have six-figure salaries, who have what many of friends that I have would not consider a profitable job, but they have assets, and assets that they can pass down to a generation. And I teach personally that every family is a business. Every family is an entity. If you treat it that way, it can be a profitable entity if you work together. Now, family doesn't always mean sharing DNA. So sometimes it's the family that we choose to work with that we can form an entity with and work on a common economic agenda. But I think being on script and on message with our economic agenda as African descended people is a message that isn't spoken with the mouth. It's spoken with debits and credits in the bank account. Partly because, like we're seeing in Manhattan Beach, you're as good as the defense you can afford. And this family is definitely a case study of that.
Yeah, I'm just going to land on this, that I agree with everything Ronique just said. And, you know, this is another thing that's out here, which is that, you know, you have Black professionals that are out here trying to do these things and help our community and so on. But we have to be able to help ourselves as family and as community. And Gassim laid out a situation, in Chicago, which is my hometown, that we as a community also failed both the Black bank. It was the last Black bank in Chicago, and the Ghanaians who came in to try to buy the bank and support it. We did not put our money in that bank, and countless banks. My grandparents and my parents, we made an effort. The Black bank, one of them that now has been bought out, was Seaway Bank in Chicago. And we tried to keep our deposit levels high and to support that Black bank. That's something very simple that we can do in various communities to try to assist ourselves. We need these institutions, but it's not the Bruce's Beach scenario. It's not, one of the things that troubles me is that somehow we've developed this lottery mentality of like, well, so-and-so had this situation and then it turned into a lottery ticket. And then that they came up like that. And we look at that in terms of our children with sports. We look at that in terms of, the reparations effort and countless other things. And it's actually the little basic things that Ronique and Gassim and Dynast talk about on a daily basis on this show, which is, just to try to work within our families and strengthen our families to make common sense decisions and good investments together. But if we don't work together, then we're fighting upstream. The country is built in such a way where you're supposed to meet your partner as a young person in your 20s, and then you guys stack for 40 years and retire. If you're not doing that, then you're swimming upstream and it's going to be more expensive. That's just the reality. You can choose to do whatever the heck you want to do, and it's not for me to judge whatever you decide to do or anyone else. But understand the tax laws and economic rules are set up in a certain way for certain people to win and certain people to lose, depending upon what kinds of decisions you make. So to the best that you can, try to make good decisions, right? And listen to Dynast's channel. And if you can, and you're in Ronique's area, please try to patronize her business. Okay. Dynast, thanks for having me on, brother.
I appreciate you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining. Let's see here. We'll do one more round and we'll close out. Ronique, anything else you'd like to share in closing?
No, that's it. Nope. I'm good. Thanks.
Yeah, I'll just say I think.
Hold on. One second. HRH, unmute yourself. I know you've been waiting in the corner up there.
Hey everybody, can you hear me?
Hear you loud and clear.
All right. Well, I'm just basically listening. I hopped in a little bit late. My apologies to everybody in the group here. What caught my attention? I'm trying to educate myself on this, so I really don't have a lot to say on that. But I guess what I missed was the part when you said Obasanjo endorses Peter Obi. So I missed that part, and I missed the Senegal tour. So my apologies. But here, I'm just here to hear everything and get educated. Thank you.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, so Obasanjo endorsed Peter Obi.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that because I have extensive experience working with Obasanjo, but this is not the time, this is not the place. So
no, go ahead. It's the time. Go ahead.
Okay, so if I may say, 1999 was when Obasanjo first came into power, right? When he became the president of Nigeria, and I remember very well how Obasanjo was looked at that time because we were all campaigning for him. Actually, then the People's Democratic Party was not even formed. It was formed in the room. We were all in the room when we decided that the People's Democratic Party was going to be the party. Only two parties then. But the reason I'm even bringing this up was the kind of caliber Obasanjo is. And if Obasanjo is endorsing Peter Obi, that's a huge, huge statement. Because to me, Obasanjo is the last bastion of Pan-Africanism in its purest form in modern day Africa. So if Obasanjo is endorsing Peter Obi, that's huge, but I still don't think Peter Obi will win.
I think Otiku's going to win.
Atiku, I think no, I don't think Atiku is going to win because Atiku has a lot of bad blood in the north. The Fulanese are not with Atiku, so and it's between, in my opinion, it's between Peter Obi and um, the guy from Lagos.
The Godfather.
Yeah, the guy. Yeah, you know who I'm talking about. Yeah, yeah. So I think it's because the reason I say so. Yes, thank you. The reason I say so is because Buhari is already checked out. He's totally checked out from the game. Everything he wanted to accomplish, he technically did. You know, and the northern powers are fractured. That they're broken in two right now. So the northern power is with Peter Obi and the Yoruba guy. So and Atiku was still dealing with a lot of bad blood that he's created over time. If you look at the South, because I'm from the South, if you look at the South, I am almost certain that the South would not go for PDP anymore. The South would go for the Yoruba guy or Peter Obi, and that's huge.
Well, what's his name? DeVito's uncle is PDP, and he's governor of Osun State now.
Yeah, that's fine, but he's a new member to PDP. He's not a founding member to PDP. You have to realize that PDP and APC or whatever they call themselves, it's just one party. It's just one party. If you know, as a political member, for example, PDP, if I run for office and I don't, it's corrupt as hell. If I run for office, I don't like it, I can switch parties to another party, and the same people who were aggrieved in the other party will follow me. So it's the same thing revolving around over and over again. I can count on more hands and more fingers that I have of how many people that used to be in PDP that are now in the other party and vice versa. So in Nigeria, it's just a big power struggle. It's got nothing to do with parties. It's got a lot to do with families and allegiances. That's just what it boils down to.
Do both of you support Peter Obi?
I do support Peter Obi with every. I support it. I decamped. I left PDP and I'm with Peter Obi. But I do know in my heart of hearts, knowing where Nigeria is right now, and knowing the kind of political posturing we're having right now, that who is best for Nigeria with Peter Obi, and everybody else sucks.
Just one last question. What do you think is what is his main two platforms he's running on? Like, why should people vote for him?
For who? For Peter Obi?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you can only go out by what a politician says, right? So what I would say for Peter Obi will be the fact that he wants to go into production. You know, that's huge. You know, and also reining down expenses. We spend too much. So those two things right there, it's enough for anybody to basically pay attention to him. And if you look at his record too, he's the only governor that ever served. Well, I'm not going to say only. He's one of the few governors that ever served in the state of Anambra that left the state with a surplus. That is unheard of. That is unheard of, you know. And most people might not like him because he has a couple of nicknames. They call him a boxer, meaning he's always clenching his fist, meaning he doesn't spend money. You know, people might not like that because it's technically almost like a fiscal conservative, almost, but not really. You know, so that's one of the reasons. And the youths all support him. Listen, at this point in time right now, if they take that away from him, I'm scared what will happen. Because I think right now it's bigger than Peter Obi. It's not really about Peter Obi anymore. You know, it's all about getting somebody in there that is not with the status quo, even if Peter Obi technically is a PDP person.
I got an ignorant question. In the Gambia, I saw that they vote with like marbles or something. How they vote in Nigeria?
Well, it's decentralized-ish, but not really. So I'm going to talk about years ago. I'm not going to talk about now because I haven't been home in maybe 3+ years. So how is, like, for example, let me use Delta State, for example. So INEC, right? INEC will bring the ballot boxes, which will be, you know, shipped from Abuja down to Delta State, and they will conduct the elections and they will count it there, and they will send the numbers back to the National Polling Center. And when they send the numbers to the National Polling Center, then that's how the results are given. Back in the day, what will happen is, while the results are counted, you will have a lot of thugs who will go in, hijack the results and change it. But things are changing now. So they collect it individually at the states, then send the results to the coalition center. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to know, man. Y'all have a good one. Peace and black going.
Oh, cool. Everyone, listen. Oh, and then also to tour Senegal, May 21st to 30th. Visit donfo.africa to learn more. So that's what we're talking about the tour. May 21st to 30th. I'm taking a group to Senegal.
Oh, nice.
So let me. So, fam, with that being said, we're going to close out. Everyone, thank you so much for joining. Like, share, subscribe. Until next time, family, Dynasty Mirror, search for Hulu. Peace.
Peace.